Hey, how's it going, guys? As you can see, Spider-Man here with me here. So I finally got around to it, guys. I finally got around to watching the rest of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and here are my thoughts on it. So I apparently have 60 minutes on this video, so Spider-Man can sit over there for a minute. Let me crack open an ollie pop, and let's discuss the rest of this show. So I did a previous video, it's probably a month ago, like the first two episodes. So this is just covering the rest of stuff. So full spoilers ahead for anybody who's interested in watching it. It took me a little bit to get used to some of the animation quality, but I've kind of just accepted it, like, okay, well, this is what it is, you know. We're not going to get Spider-Verse quality in this thing, and it is what Marvel Animation has always been kind of their weak point. They're good at like video game stuff, like the Sony stuff they've done is pretty good, but you know, Marvel compared to DC animation has always been kind of their non-strong point. But overall, though, not bad. Now, there are definitely moments in this show. I'll say that overall, I had mixed feelings on this show. Like, there's overall moments in here that are like really good Spider-Man moments where I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And there's other moments where I'm just like, why are they doing this? So let's just kind of go over the basics of it. The last episode that we got left off on is that Norman Osborn says, "So you're Spider-Man," and that was kind of how we cliffhangered after the first two episodes. So essentially, he becomes sort of his guy in the chair, and he tries him out with some other upgraded suits, which are, you know, ridiculous and goofy and all that. He has a cape where he gets caught, which that was cute. That was pretty funny. And he definitely, like, the guy doing the Spider-Man voice definitely has the Spider-Man humor and the, you know, the down on his luck loser quality to him, you know. So I think he's doing a good job. And then the guy doing Norman Osborn, Coleman Domingo, is doing a pretty good job overall. I think we definitely have, it's much more Norman Osborn. We don't really get the Goblin, but I think they're probably saving that. I feel like a lot of the villains in this were very bare bones, as in we're not there yet for them to be full-on supervillain stuff, which is fine. If you're starting out, that's totally fine if you have like a big storyline arc and stuff like that where you're going. So yeah, I think that was pretty good. They do the Scorpion, and I thought this, honestly, it made me want to see the Scorpion in live action, because I think they did a good job. They made him very much a threat. In this one, they have him as the leader of a gang called the Scorpions, and they're a rival gang to this gang that Tombstone ends up joining very quickly, because what happens is, like, he's a star football player in this, Tombstone's character, and his little brother gets in trouble because he gets caught with a gang, and then they're like the 110th Street gang or something like that. I guess he's that character, the leader of it is a Luke Cage villain more than it's why he's in Spider-Man. But anyway, that's what happens a lot in this stuff. But yeah, so he was fine. But like, yeah, so he says, I'll join the gang in place of my little brother. Keep him out of this. Let him go. So he lets him go. And then he just kind of like gives up on playing football and just lies to his parents and just kind of accepts, like, yeah, I'm in this gang now, because they had my back once against the Scorpions, and I just accept. So like, that's just kind of interesting, like some of the progression of it, of just like, it's not like a sudden big moment, that it's just like, well, I guess this is my life now. It's just okay. But well, the character's fine. It's just kind of like, they have a moment where he gets exposed to something from like this radiational thing or something like that, and I thought he was gonna like change to be more comic accurate looking, you know, so he had almost, I thought he was gonna get the gray skin. He kind of ends up having like the Luke Cage impenetrable, that's a hard word to say, skin there, and kind of helps Spider-Man, but then he still kind of ends up leading the gang because the other guy runs off when Scorpion attacks. But yeah, so I hope that they'll develop his look a little bit more, because I don't want him to just look like, I'm a random football player guy. Yeah, okay. Oh no. You know, let's make him look threatening. They do a pretty good job with Doc Ock. I think they did a nice thing of him. He was selling these little like weapon things to other like really lame villains that they end up doing, but they were hinted at other villains, like you have one who's kind of got the Rhino type of thing going on. So that was cool. And like I said, Scorpion was literally put as a threat at the point that he actually he penetrates Spider-Man's suit, and Spider-Man almost like doesn't really die, but he's definitely, you know, he loses his confidence and all that. But they at least hint that Norman Osborn's up to no good. So I was afraid they were going to try to make him full on good. I'm like, let's not do that. Daredevil shows up at one point, which was cool. I think it was Charlie Cox doing the voice, so that was neat. I enjoyed that. I didn't mind Harry Osborn either. I think there's one point where they actually have him say, "Go get him, Tiger," and I was just like, that was cringy as hell. Don't take Mary Jane's line from her, for God's sakes. But yeah, and then they have Norman Osborn say, "With great power comes great respect," and I'm like, just stop changing the fucking catchphrase. Madam Web did that so bad too, but it's just, but I understood where they were going with it, because Norman Osborn's someone who commands respect, and he tells him not to pull his punches and all that stuff against these villains, and I felt like he was like John Kreese from Cobra Kai, like no mercy. But I thought that, yeah, Coleman Domingo's a good actor, so I think he, for what he is, you know, what he brought for animation, obviously you can only do so much, is, yeah, I thought he would pretty good, and I think he had some sinister points there where I was like, okay, there's Norman Osborn, I see a little bit of it. Willem Dafoe is still my preferred one though, but you know, Willem Dafoe's, you know, getting older, so I understand if we get a new Norman Osborn at some point, but for the show, I think he's not bad. Nico kind of goes from kind of being on my nerves to being less annoying. I still don't know why she's in the show. I don't understand, with all the Spider-Man comics that they have, why we have this Nico character in the show, why we have this Pearl character in the show. Tombstone, okay, that's at least a Spider-Man character. Why we had this random Luke Cage villain leading a gang in this show. I don't really understand why they're there. I don't understand why Kirk Connors needs to be a woman. I'm not against gender flipping or race flipping in certain cases. I know it's a different universe, but it doesn't bring anything to her character. Like, I'm just random scientist with one arm, and there's nothing. If they were doing something interesting with it, like, I have much more acceptance of Norman Osborn being black, or in Harry Osborn being black, than I do with, like, her being a woman, just because it just feels so, like, okay, I'm here, yay. And then, like, my bigger issues, I think, with it are less the Spider-Man issues and more that, like, they keep referencing the MCU. Like, they reference the Sokovia Accords, they reference Hulk attacking, and I'm just like, number one, this is supposed to be a different universe. So in this universe, Iron Man shows up too, so he's still alive. And it's also, I'm just like, can we just be in the Spider-Man universe? You know what I liked about Daredevil is that outside of one interaction with Miss Marvel's dad, is that he was just doing his own fucking story. Like, let's get back to that. We don't need to be a big part of the whole fucking MCU right now. As much as I enjoy the shared universe, like, sometimes it's like, can we just focus on fucking Spider-Man? We don't need to worry about Captain America and Iron Man and what they're doing. Who gives a shit right now? Occasional guest starring like Daredevil or Doctor Strange showing up is fine, but like, we don't need that. We have plenty of Spider-Man rogue villains that you can be introducing. We have plenty of other heroes that are connected to Spider-Man and his characters. So it's like, yeah, me personally, I would have had Liz Allen or Betty Brant or something like that as a potential love interest. I don't understand why Nico's there. She's fine, but like, it's just, I don't know. I would have rather had one of his other friends. Like, just have Ned Leeds there. Fuck, I don't care. You know, or somebody else. Why don't we have fucking, you know, Flash Thompson or something? I don't know. It just, we've been reading a lot of the classics comics, so it's just little things like, I was like, oh, well, this is what I would have done with it. But yeah, like I said, there was some good fights with him and Scorpion. I like that. I could have done without the symbiote showing up again. Just like, I like the symbiotes, but it just feels like it's kind of overdone, and it's way too early in Spider-Man's universe to be starting a symbiote thing. Just my personal opinion. I think there's a lot of other villains you can get to before that. But they did, like, Doc Ock gets arrested, you know, for having Osborn stuff, and then Osborn's like, yeah, let's take it. But like, yeah. So yeah, I think, you know, they're hinting at Doc Ock getting his actual arms and stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I see, I at first I wasn't sure where they were going with it, because in some ways it's like, okay, this stuff's going way too fast, way too quick. In other ways, it's like, okay, they're setting their big villains up, Doc Ock and Norman Osborn and stuff like that, slowly but surely. So okay, I can respect that. Some of the writing is a little all over the place. Some of it's good, some of it's like, that's fucking cringy. Why did you write that line? Why are we doing this? But you know, overall though, I have to say, like, well, I did have some mixed feelings on certain stuff. More of my issues were more just the constant MCU references of just like, hey, remember that thing that happened? It happened here too, and somehow in the same way. It's just like, it's just supposed to be a different universe and be a different universe, you know. So like, that's the only thing I just say, like, you know, that's what I liked about X-Men 97 is, like, you know, they I think Spider-Man showed up or something in one little, clip thing, but it wasn't like they were referencing what was happening in the MCU at the time. Granted, they were in 97, but still, that's why I liked it. They were just kind of their own fucking universe type thing. Not that they're not acknowledging these other characters exist, but just that, like, I feel like the shared universe thing is fun, but like it's also gotten so far that even our fucking animation, we can't just like be on our own and just be Spider-Man, starting out as Spider-Man, focusing on Spider-Man related characters. It's I think in a way, besides the shared universe, it kind of goes to the Arrowverse thing. Like Spider-Man has never needed a person in the chair. If you read the original comics, he's pretty much on his own most of the time. So this constant thing of, we need a Felicity in the chair. No, we don't. We don't need anyone in the fucking chair. He doesn't need some super magical suit that either Stark or Osborn gives him. Like, Spider-Man doesn't need... I mean, I understand the whole idea that Uncle Ben's gone, so he needs a male role model, but, like, it just feels like it's overplayed. They've already done that in the main MCU with him having, like, looking up to Mysterio before he turns heel and looking up to Tony Stark, and it's just like... Meanwhile, you never ever barely ever reference fucking Uncle Ben. That's the same problem with this one too. Like they hint that he's definitely gone, but they never hint if he's dead or if he just ran off. But it doesn't seem like that would be what Uncle Ben would do. Like he would just run off. But like they never come out and say like, oh, that tragic thing with Uncle Ben or something. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you have to show it because I know we've seen Uncle Ben die tons of times. But like it bothers me that he's not even like important at all as Peter that much. It feels more like other than like, oh, Ben's suit and like the second Spider-Man. Like it just feels like Ben Parker should be a much more important influence on Peter Parker, and it doesn't feel like that's there. It's like, okay, but at least he's kind of seeing through Norman Osborn a little bit. So yeah, by the end, I think they've definitely set up some things for another season, and I think they already got another season ordered. So I'll continue watching it. I wasn't sure for the first couple episodes, but like, there's characters that are there and they kind of annoy me, but I can... Like, Amadeus Cho is not an annoying character in the comics, but oh my god, did I want to punch him in the face every time he talked. Everybody else is just kind of like characters. There's a girl from Wakanda, and then there's... I guess there's a character that... Finesse, I've never heard of, right? She's pretty new, but she's kind of working with Daredevil and stuff, so I guess that's fine. We're going to get some new characters here and there, that's okay. But I don't know. I just like, if you're going to do it, just use Spider-Man characters. There's plenty of Spider-Man characters, even more modern stuff. You can still use characters from the freaking comics. You don't need to have random characters from all these other comics that don't really have your reason to fucking be there. Just my personal opinion as a Spider-Man fan. But overall, yeah, I didn't hate it, guys. So that's good. I know a lot of people hated on this show because they saw Harry Osborn's hair and immediately just went, rage, woke, and it's people like that. Just please touch grass, because get a life. It's fine to criticize things like I'm doing here, but none of my criticisms outside the Kurt Connors thing, just because that's not because of the change of gender, because they changed, the gender. They had the Octavius' sister in the Spider-Verse, and that worked for me. Okay. So it didn't do anything for me, is what I'm saying. If she becomes a lizard, maybe it'll change and I'll accept it. But, sometimes you gender flip just to gender flip, and it's just, why are we doing this? I get we only have more female villains. That's cool. But like, well, I didn't need to do that. But overall, guys, I thought it was pretty good. I spent most of the afternoon watching it. So not a bad way to watch the afternoon. I didn't have much on the agenda. So I'm like, oh, what the hell? Let's catch up on this and do a video for you guys finally. That's not just a pun of the day. So that's my review of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It's still available on Disney Plus to watch. So yeah, if you like Spider-Man, you can overlook certain adjustments and it's a different universe, but somehow still kind of in the MCU. I think you'll enjoy it. If you don't like anything changed at all, or you're anti-woke, then you probably won't enjoy it. But I don't really like the theme that much. It just feels like it doesn't really fit Peter Parker at all. It feels Miles Morales, I could see maybe it fitting, but it doesn't really fit Peter Parker. But it's fine. It's not that big a deal. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to try to do more videos. I finished watching You season 5, and I have some thoughts on that. Gemstones is almost over. What else did I watch? Black Mirror. Yeah. So I'm going to try to do more reviews like this, just like, quick little reviews like this. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe, and have a good day.